Hi guys, welcome back to Hairdryer Treatment. The Soph and Meg show is back. I love doing this show with you, Meg. Firstly, how are you doing?
I'm all good, and I want to just start by saying a huge congratulations. We are past 8k now. We didn't even just reach it, we've gone past it now. I remember hairdryer treatment starting safe when we were at football. I think if you look back in the archive somewhere, there's a video of us. I think we were both injured, walking around training, doing a video at training. But yeah, so a huge congratulations because we've been trying to push to 8k for a while, and we're finally there, and now we've gone past it, straight past it. We didn't even stop. We hit it and then we carried on. So congratulations.
Thank you, Meg, and thank you to everyone in the chat. Obviously, your support. I said it the other day in my tweet. Without you guys, my channel is absolutely nothing. So I'm really grateful for your support, and I'm buzzing to get to 8k. Next step is 10k. We keep on pushing, keep putting the content out, get the words out. And yeah, we keep being positive, keep putting it out there, keep being consistent as well. And like I say, having guests like you, Meg, I really do appreciate your support. And obviously our Sunday show as well, it's really kicked off. And I love it. And thank you to everyone in the chat for supporting us and helping us to reach 8k, because I certainly did not do this on my own. I've had a lot of support, and from Meg in particular. So thank you as well, Meg, for that. A nice positive start to the stream. But yeah,
as always.
It's nice though, isn't it, Meg? Because now we've got football back to talk about. Obviously, for a while, everyone's been covering the same kind of topics. There's been a lot of generic videos I've seen going about. It's nice to be able to now be reactionary about what's happened and talk about football, about real life events, rather than trying to predict it. So, obviously, we played the other day against Spurs. We've already discussed what our thoughts were on that, and then we're going to preview Sheffield, which is tomorrow. Sheffield, for me, I think, Meg, will be a bit of a similar game, but it's by no means an easy game, is it?
No, it's not. And I think pre-lockdown, especially with the position they are in the table and the way that they play, I think we would have said it was really tough. Even more so now because they came out and they had a bit of a shocker, and they need the points just as much as we do. So both fighting for something, both need those points. It's a big game, another 6-pointer really. They're playing a team that's around you. It's really difficult. If you lose to them, not only have you given them 3 points, you've also lost the opportunity to get any points that same weekend as well. So big game, difficult game to predict, I think.
Yeah. I think beforehand we were already saying it's a big game. We remember the last game against Sheffield. It was a thriller. There was goals in it. We should have gone on to win that game. We didn't go on to win that game. And I think now, though, after Sheffield, like you said, got battered against Newcastle the other day, do you think that makes this even harder now because they've got to go for it, haven't they?
They have. If they want to keep in contention, they really have to look at trying to get all 3 points. They definitely don't want to be dropping any points at all. So if we want to go for 4th place also, we have to, we consider that we can't be dropping points anymore, really. A tough game against Spurs, but I think the 1-1, it's not that bad. In the long scheme of things, I don't think it's that bad. Obviously, we all want to win, but I think when you look at the fixtures that we've got left and the fact that that was the first fixture, playing against a team that will sit back and will park the bus, Mourinho style, it wasn't that bad. I think I'm happy to take a point away from them. So yeah, big game. Sheffield don't want to drop points, but obviously neither do we really. So
I think it's going to be a similar type of game, though. I'm expecting Sheffield to kind of camp in, defend well as a unit. We know they can do that. We know Walder's got them well driven as a team, and obviously they'll try and hit us. But we already said about against Spurs, Dan James said that was not his game to play in a fixture like that. Do you expect Ollie to make some changes, or do you expect him to keep a very similar lineup? And obviously we've got the likes of Pogba as well. We know what he did when he came on. Do you expect him to start against Sheffield? And a massive thank you to Dennis, says, congrats on the 8k, keep up the good work. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It truly does mean a lot. It's very kind of you. But yeah, what do you think, Meg? Will Pogba start? And what would you do in terms of the centre-back pairing? Because obviously they're a bit sloppy the other day as well.
Thank you, Dennis, for the super chat. I think if we see the same starting 11 from match to match throughout the project restart, so these last fixtures, if we see them keep the same, I think that will be a shock. I think managers will look at rotating the starting 11 consistently from game to game. I don't think we will see the same players starting every time in terms of a whole starting 11, because it's all about rotation. We've got such a large amount of fixtures to fit in such a short period of time that to have consistency would take a lot out of those 11 players, because it's so compact. They're going to be worked hard. So I think he'll definitely make changes. Like we said, I didn't think it was Dan James's game particularly on Friday. He didn't play well, but I also think they nullified his threat. It just wasn't his style of play. So for me, and I think for every Manchester United fan on the planet, I think Pogba will start. I can't see any other person saying that Pogba won't start. He came on and he just tore it up, didn't he? And I think it's very easy to say Ollie got it wrong because he didn't start him. Now, I thought Pogba had come on and he has had an occasion where he just disappears in games. If he comes on and he plays like that, it's very easy to say, well, Ollie got it right, Pogba's not ready. But he didn't. So it's very easy then to say, well, Ollie got it wrong, because he did come on and he blew everyone away with his performance. He won the penalty. He's playing balls that Fred wasn't playing. So Pogba starts for me. Greenwood, I think, will also start. I think he'll make that change. And then I think we'll see Matic and not McTominay, although obviously the new contract today. But I think, like I said, he will have to rotate. We've both played. It's all about rotation of players, isn't it? And keeping everyone fit. And like I said, the game time they need, but trying to work out how to balance it so they're not being overplayed.
Of course, and we've said that already with Dan James. We feel like for the first half of the season he was overplayed. He was played far too often, and he didn't expect it. But Stephen, I am on copies tonight, just to let you know as well. Straight after this, pretty much, I'll be on there. So if you guys want to come across, come and check me out. But I think in terms of Pogba, we saw the impact he had. A lot of people saying we don't know the situation. He might not have been fully fit, hence why he didn't start. But he looked sharp when he came on for definite. And I think you have that kind of thing as a manager. You can either risk a player from the start and obviously bring them off after 60 minutes of the game already done, or you can try and bring them on to change the game. And we tried bringing him on to change the game. He did change the game the other day, but surely now he's got to be starting in this next game. And another player that I believe should start is Greenwood. I don't know if you agree with me on this one, but we spoke about Dan James. I think bring Dan James on maybe after 60, 70 minutes after a tired defence, but start with Greenwood because it gives us more of an outlet on that side because he can go both ways. We saw the other day against Spurs, he had a few shots where he's cut in and he's whipped it just past the post. That's what Greenwood brings us. And for me, Dan James just doesn't have that in his game, Meg.
No, I completely agree with you. A couple of, was it last week? And I said about Dan James, he hasn't got that end product just yet. He does some of the hard work. He does work hard. He does track back. He's got the pace, but he hasn't got the final product in that last third. And he's not at the age where you think he should be at his peak just yet. So there is plenty of time for him to evolve into a good, a world-class player. Because he has really good basic abilities. He's really fast. He can knock it past the player and run at speed with it. But there needs to be something at the end. You can't just be able to do that. Otherwise, you'd just be a 100-meter sprinter. You'd just be Usain Bolt. But we need an all-round player. We need him to be able to have a product as well at the end of it. So, I don't think it was. I think he had unfair criticism. Just wasn't his game. But I do think with Greenwood, he put some weight. Well, not weight on. He's put muscle on during the lockdown, hasn't he?
Yeah. It just looks, for me, the more I see Greenwood play, the better. He seems like, I feel like he's progressing massively. And I think that, especially, but we've played him out wide quite a lot. We know that he's a centre forward. But he can do a job on that side because, like I say, he's so two-footed, he can go either way, and he must be a bit of a nightmare to play against. I want to big up to Nicole in the chat.
Hi, Nicole.
Hello, Nicole, obviously from our Sunday shows. I hope you're good, Nicole. But yeah, my front three, I think I would keep Rashford. I know Rashford didn't play the best the other day, but I would keep Rashford in there because we know he's got that moment of magic in him, and I think he'll get his sharpness back. I think most players have looked rusty, to be honest, in this first period of games. So keep Rashford. Keep Martial up top, and I would start with Greenwood on the right-hand side. That would be my front three. Meg, would you go any different from that?
No, I think I would stick with you. said at the weekend on Ladies in Red, if you haven't watched it on Sunday morning, go back and watch it. But I did say about Igalo not starting, but being able to bring him on as a secondary option, because he brings something different. We can switch the whole style of play around him. So, yeah, I'd go for the same front three as yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, this is an interesting one. Would you switch Lindelof with Boye? Lindelof, we've said it in the past, we think he's the vulnerable one in terms of our centre-backs, and we think Boye should start ahead of him when he's fit. We also know that Boye is a nightmare in terms of his fitness and staying fit. Would you bring him in for the next game? Bear in mind it was Maguire who was at fault really for the goal the other day, not Lindelof. What would you do? Would you keep Lindelof in there, or would you swap him for Boye?
I think it's difficult. When Lindelof came off the other day, he looked absolutely shattered. Like, he'd ran himself into the ground. He was sweating. So I don't know whether, well, the reason as to why he originally came off anyway, but yeah, I don't know whether I would.
I don't think I would change it.
Defense is hard to switch up. It's very difficult to just keep rotating, and I think, although I have said that I think we will see rotations, it's really difficult to switch defense, like a central pairing of defenders. Once you've got a pair, you can't do it. With
a centre-back pairing, you're obviously trying to train them. You work with them for a long period of time to drill them into understanding each other's game, and there's got to be a partnership there. And like you say, if you constantly keep changing a partner, you're not going to get that consistency. So I kind of think that we need to stick with them. I think that sluggishness, and obviously we know that Maguire isn't the quickest, but the way that Bergwijn ran past him the other day was unacceptable. It's not good enough. Luke Shaw's header wasn't good enough, but you're going to have a bit of rustiness in the game. It will happen, and I'm hoping that we see improvements as more games go by. But having so many fixtures, we've got to be able to rotate. So I'm just hoping that Ollie is working with different combinations in terms of the back four. Because like you've already mentioned, we can't keep putting on players, especially with the amount of games we've got in a short period of time. I think it's going to be interesting to see how we rotate. But in terms of the long run, Mick, do you think that we need to sign another centre-back, or would you more be looking to progress Tuanzebe through?
I don't think we'll see another centre-back join within the next transfer window. I think we will. Well, I think obviously, if you're looking at rumours, although we are linked with everyone, if you go ahead and sign Sancho, we're not a team that goes and signs 3-4 big players. So I think if you sign Sancho, you can almost forget about signing a big name centre back. I think if you've got Lindelof and Maguire, Bailly, you've got Tuanzebe as well. I think he would stick. I don't think another centre back coming in. I think he will look to progress Tuanzebe.
Yeah, Flores makes a good note. He says that obviously he's injured at the minute, Tuanzebe. He has had a few injuries. Do you think it's going to be an issue a bit like it was for Boye, and maybe we do need to turn? But don't forget, we've still got Phil Jones, we've still got Chris Smalling, Mike Smalling, whatever you want to call him at the moment. We've still got him, even though Arsenal apparently are interested. But we have got a lot of centre-backs there. I think if we do sign, we need to sell a few first. We can't just keep adding and having the deadwood and having players who are being paid to just chill. Do you know what I mean? And we need to get rid of some of those players, a bit like Phil Jones, who's been there for, 9 years now? 9 years at United. How's he made that? Massive thank you for Doug for the super chat, and obviously always Doug supports in the chat. I really appreciate it. A massive part of my channel and why we're doing so well. So thank you, Doug. And he says, congratulations on 8K. Smashed it, Sophie. Keep up the good work and the fantastic content. I'm going for a 2-0 Manchester United win against Sheffield United. And love that. He's supporting United. We're starting to turn him, Meg. He's starting to feel
I feel give it another season. I think Doug might find sense somewhere. There's obviously a lot of knowledge in his brain. It just like one little bit just needs tweaking.
That's it, definitely. But we're talking about the games that we've already seen. Obviously, we saw Sheffield get battered the other day, which was really unlike them. Even the draw against Villa, bear in mind, they've played 2 games already. It was really unlike them to concede the goals the way they did against Newcastle. I'm expecting them to be a lot more resilient against us, almost be like a cup final against United, as it is for most teams, as we know. So I'm expecting it to be a tough one. But looking over the fixtures that we've seen so far, who would you say has been the worst team? So since the season's been restarted, who is the biggest banter team? Who is the worst team making your own?
I can't even keep a straight face. I would not have, if we were about to say this team pre the first round of fixtures, it would have been. I thought they were going to come out and not fly through the fixtures, but I did not think that I would be saying that Arsenal have got 0 points. 0. They have not. They've just not got anything. They've just. I think it's really difficult because I look at the manager and I think Arteta should be such a good man. Like, I feel like he's going to be such a good manager. He's young in terms of age and like experience in terms of being first team manager, but he's been around one of the greatest managers. He probably will come good, but Arsenal are making it very difficult for him to come good when their players are playing like that. I look at him and I feel like the team that you've got, I actually feel sorry for you because those players are not playing they're not playing well. They're not playing as a team. The errors that they make are so costly that they are costing you the entire game. And when you're only 1-0 up and you play like Guendouzi played and he was like, is it Mopai?
Yeah, he was bragging about how much he earns. Mopai, he was bragging about his wages and stuff, wasn't he?
That will come and get you, and it came and got him very quickly. We didn't have to wait very long for it. So while there's only one team that has come out for me and not hit expectation, and that is Arsenal, all day, every day.
I think if we're grading it on the biggest banter team, it's hard to beat Arsenal in that respect, isn't it? You can't. I mean, I said it the other day. The way they lost against Brighton was the worst possible way they could have lost that game. It was just embarrassing. And the fact that Guendouzi is bragging about his wages and compared to Mopai and rubbing it in, like you say, it came back to bite him right on the arse, didn't it? And he deserved that. Like and he's lucky, to be fair, Guendouzi, like Doug says there, he's lucky he wasn't banned for what he did. It's almost seems like the FA.
Very confused about that. Very confused.
It's obvious. Even the FA are feeling sorry for Arsenal. Even the FA feel sorry for Arsenal right now. It's that bad. That's what's happening. But yeah, I think in terms of biggest banter, you go Arsenal. But in terms of the worst team, I've got to be totally honest and say Villa for me. I was expecting them to come out after this long break. They've got McGinn back. They've also got Grealish playing. I was expecting a bit more from Villa, and they don't seem to have it within their ranks. They don't seem to have the quality that they need to stay up. And you might disagree with me, Meg, but at this moment in time, I was expecting a reaction from Villa, and I just haven't seen it.
They can't seem to well, the Sheffield one, that should have been a loss as well. So they've managed to get a point, but really that should have been a loss. And then against Chelsea, if you're going to go on and score first, you need to compose yourself to try and you've got this, you're one step ahead. The other team have to come out and score again. They have to come out and score. Yeah. So if you're 1-0 ahead, you need to switch up so that you can keep hold of that lead, because the other team have to come out and score. So I was a little bit shocked about them. I'm hoping that they have enough. Yeah, I've got them down. I've got them to stay up. So, and I would like to see them stay up, but I'm just not so sure the way that they're playing that they will now.
Yeah, I think West Ham look poor as well. Gaz Elliott said it there in the chat. West Ham look very poor. And also Doug made a good point. Bournemouth as well. These kind of clubs at the moment, I feel like, especially with the 5 subs, they're really at a disadvantage because they haven't got the quality to bring on from the bench. You look at Villa and you guarantee every single match they'll swap El Ghazi with Trezeguet. That is the change that they make to try and change the game. And it obviously isn't working. There's a lack of quality coming off the bench. And this is where, sadly, this rule hurts teams. And I think Villa are going to pay a victim for that. And I think Bournemouth as well. You look at Bournemouth and they've got like Callum Wilson, obviously King as well going forwards. They've got some decent strikers, but they just don't seem to have the quality coming to provide for them. Do you know what I mean? There's a lack of creativity in there. There's a lack of quality coming from the midfield. And again, I think they're going to massively struggle. So we said about the worst teams. Obviously, Flawless is saying there as well. Complete side note. This is the better start time 4:30 because it's saying that 11 a.m. is early, Meg. 11 a.m. apparently is early.
Early? Been up for 4 hours.
I had to mention that then. You're getting his beauty sleep, that's what I heard. But yeah, I think in terms of the worst teams, you go Villa, Bournemouth, Arsenal for pure banter, and obviously the fact they've got 0 points so far as well. They have to go in there. But who would you say have been the standout teams then from the games that we've seen so far? Who's been the better team?
The very obvious one is obviously Man City. They've come out and scored 8 goals. They've dominated play. They have got players all over the pitch that will chip in for an assist, chip in for a goal. their style, they seem to have it nailed right at the moment. But I was slightly concerned for Newcastle prior to the fixtures starting because of what's happening off the pitch for them. I wondered whether that would be hanging over their heads a little bit in terms of the whole club, where they're at. And lo and behold, they come out and win 3-0. I was not expecting it. So for me, I think they're the team that shocked me the most. The fact that they've come out and won 3-0.
Yeah.
So for me, Newcastle, I think they've come out and done it.
It's hard to argue with that, Meg, to be fair, because I went to obviously the Villa-Newcastle game because I've got friends who are Newcastle fans and when they're away fans. And to maximum, I'd say was the only threat they had. They looked so poor going forward, so they lacked massively. And I didn't think they were a team capable of scoring 3 goals, and they've gone and put 3 past Sheffield. I wasn't expecting that at all. So I have to say they deserve a special mention. It kills me to say this as well, but Wolves, I think, deserve a mention. Professional performance at West Ham. Absolute belter of a goal from Neto as well. So you have to say that they're impressive. I think the break came at a really good time for Wolves, having a small squad. I think they've been able to recuperate and keep players fit is crucial for them. And I think it was massive. And I think, did you watch the Liverpool-Everton game, Meg?
Yes, but I mean, our half was asleep, if I'm honest. that was not the spectacular Liverpool derby that we all wanted to see. And I think a game like that, you can really see why fans make football, because without the fans, it lacked atmosphere. Although I will like to say, I had it down for a draw, Sophie, on our predictions. And lo and behold, it was a draw and I didn't put a bet on. Very annoying. But no, it was it just wasn't very spectacular, wasn't it? It was 90 minutes of absolute utter garbage. If I'm really honest, it was not entertaining at all.
It was, you could tell that both teams hadn't played for a long time, couldn't you? It was a scrappy game, it's boring. But even then, Everton could have quite easily in that second half gone on to win it. If they would have obviously beat Liverpool, you'd probably say they'd be up there as well as one of the teams because they defended well, and Chelsea, we know we'll get them doing that, but they also probably should have scored, to be fair, at the other end, and I think they were unlucky not to. Palace, I think, deserve a mention as well because they've had a great start. Obviously, they were the team that was on BBC. Off to another winning start. Roy Hodgson, do you think is he the right guy for Crystal Palace? Do you think? He seems to be one of them guys who just always seems to be about Roy Hodgson, doesn't he? Do you think he's a good enough manager?
I think fair play to him. If I'm honest, I think. How old is he? Is he in his 70s?
I don't know. It's getting on.
I feel like he's quite old, and he's
Have you
still
seen
there.
On Twitter? Have you seen the thread on Twitter with the managers, but as females, and the Joy Hodgson one?
The Joy Hodgson,
Joy Hodgson. It cracked me up, but that's why I wanted to mention. Roy, because I think he's one of those managers who's been consistent, to be fair. He's been around in some big clubs as well. And he always just seems to be 73, apparently, according to Twisted. I don't know.
73?
But, wow. Yeah, what Palace, would you say, do you think they're always going to be that kind of team who gets a spontaneous result every now and again? I
don't think they'll ever set the world alight. I don't think they're just one of those clubs. But I also... I feel like they're safe at the moment. The players that if they can keep the players that they've got, I feel like they are safe. But I don't think they'll ever set the world alight.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Zaha is their one player, isn't he, who gets off the seat. I think if he has a bad game, 9 times out of 10, Palace have a poor game. He is very much their guy. But Mark's giving us his best 11, so I'm guessing this is what he wants to start against Sheffield. So we've got De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka right back, Lindelof and Maguire, Luke Shaw, McTominay, Pogba, Bruno, Greenwood, Ighalo, Rashford, so Martial being left out. How would you feel if that was to happen now? Because Martial, we said he didn't do a lot the other day. I don't think he had the best service, to be fair. What would you ever drop him for Ighalo? Would you try that out?
Yeah, I think if you're going to bring Ighalo on, Martial is the player that you would take off, and you'd still keep the Greenwood and Rashford so they can feed off him. Like I said, Ighalo brings you a different option. You can put a ball up top to him. He can hold players off. He's a bit of a bigger presence, and I feel like Martial is. Martial probably better at running with the ball. We've seen him run past defenders. towards the edge of the 18-yard box and then score from that kind of side-footed across the goal. Whereas Ighalo, I feel, is very much a central player, isn't he? He's not going to be the one that goes over to the wing and goes past defenders and then finesses it into the bottom right-hand corner, the bottom left-hand corner. Ighalo is, for me, a central striker. He plays within the 18-yard box-to-box, like the width, and that's his zone. So I think if you were going to bring Ighalo on, it is Martial that you take off, because I feel like Rashford and Greenwood give you the options of a wider play and bringing the ball into the middle. So if you want to start Ighalo, it is Martial that probably gets dropped for me. But what do you think, Soph?
Yeah. I don't think I'll drop Martial yet. I mean, I know I'm Anthony partial, and I'm one of the first people to get on his back when he's not playing well, because I do think he's inconsistent. But I think it's harsh to judge him on that Spurs game. I think if Pogba starts, you get far more creativity coming from midfield, but players who are also willing to play to his feet, take that risky ball. And I think it's far too safe and sideways. That's why Martial wasn't get much of the ball against Spurs. I think if we play more direct and more through the lines, which is what Pogba would bring along with Bruno, then I think that Martial will be in the game more. So I wouldn't drop him just yet. I do think Martial needs to get involved in the game more. I'm not debating that. But I do think that a lack of service and a lack of risk from midfield is what influences it as well. Let's face it, it's not very often that we get down a wing and whip a ball into the cross for Martial to attack. It's more about us playing through the lines. And I'm hoping that Pogba and Bruno in the midfield that get him involved a lot more, because I think Martial's link-up play, to be fair, is good. We just don't see enough of it. I think it's a bit static at times. We said last week that we'd rather see Martial come and show feet and spin off into the channel sometimes, rather than everything being to feet and predictable. Maybe try spinning off, because he's fairly quick, Martial, and you don't see it as well. But look, Martial needs to improve and he needs to get involved more. I agree with that. And I think it's good to have Ighalo pushing him on the bench as well. But would I drop him after one game back? No, I wouldn't. I think give him a chance with Pogba in there. But yeah, I guess this is the headache that Ollie's got now. Who do you start in that midfield? Because for me, Pogba has to start. He's proven his point. Bruno obviously has to start. Who is disciplined enough to be that holding? And you've said Matic would be your choice in the midfield. I'll be happy with McTominay or Matic, I think.
I'd say either one is fine. I didn't expect the news to break that McTominay will be signing a new contract today. So that might sway things, and McTominay starts again, because he's on a high, he's on a bit of a buzz. So perhaps McTominay will start. But I just think either one of them do that disciplined holding role better than Fred. And allows Pogba, you've got like more of a security if you've got Matic and McTominay. Although McTominay sometimes is slightly reminiscent of Paul Scholes tackling. He's always one, and to be fair, and Matic, if you're going to bet on someone who's going to have a yellow card, it's one of those two, isn't it?
There's a question for you, Meg, here from Afnan. It says, Meg, thoughts on Mata starting it on the right because of his chemistry with Bruno, and also because Sheffield United sit deep. How would you feel about Mata starting out wide?
He is one of those players that can break lines. He's got a very good eye for catching people on the run and being able to play, playing the ball through to him. So I would still, I probably wouldn't start, but it's a good option. But I just don't think he would start. But it's a very good option to have, isn't he? Like I said, he is like Bruno. He can spot that run of somebody else and play them the ball.
Yeah, I think my point about Mata would be that Sheffield United are a big physical team, and Mata, obviously, we know is lightweight, a bit like Dan James as well. You'd say he's a bit lightweight. They're a big physical team that gets stuck in, which is why I think Greenwood, with his technicality and obviously physically, he's stronger than Mata. I think he would be more effective. But Mata out wide, this is the kind of team you would play him against, because you want someone who's intelligent to get in between the lines and be creative, and I think Mata does bring that. But physicality-wise, I just don't think that this is the game for him, which is why I go for Greenwood. In terms of the holding, I'd be happy with McTominay. And I think they announced this new deal today, maybe with the idea of McTominay starting on the buzz of that. After the announcement, he's going to be happy with it, obviously. And I think that might be Ollie and the club just saying, McTominay is going to be starting. But Matic, I think, has proved that he's an experienced player. He can play that holding role well. He's disciplined enough to do that. He's done that all his career. It's just whether he's got the legs. But in terms of his height, I think Matic could be a big plus for us on set pieces as well against a big, strong Sheffield United team. And that's the kind of stuff you have to think about as a manager. If you're Ollie, physically in the box, can we compete with Sheffield United man for man? Matic, of course, will come and support that. Matt Johnson has given his 11, so he's gone for De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Boye to get a start over Lindelof, Maguire, Luke Shaw, Pogba, McTominay, Bruno, Greenwood, Martial and Rashford. I would probably say mine is very similar to that. I'd probably just say that Lindelof, I think, will keep his place, even though I'd rather see Boye in there. I think Lindelof will keep his place. I don't think after one game they'll take him out. And I would like to see Brandon Williams on the left, to be honest with you. I think he gives us more. Obviously, he scored against Sheffield United last time as well, which I think he'll have in the back of his mind. But again, I can't see it happening. If I was Ollie, I would start Williams, but I've got a feeling Shaw will keep his place. And I think Lindelof will keep his place as well. Meg, would yours be much different to that?
Apart from probably so going from the last game, Pogba starts for me and Greenwood starts, but I don't think we'll see too many changes. I'm just a bit torn on the McTominay Matic. I don't know which way I sit on that at the moment. I don't know which way he will go and which way I go on it. So Pogba and Greenwood to start, and then to be honest, it's muchness for Matic and McTominay for me, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think I'll go pretty much with Matt's team there. All I'd do is swap Lindelof for Boye. And that isn't by choice, so I'd have probably exactly the same team as that. Maybe swap Luke Shaw for Williams. But I just can't see Ollie dropping Lindelof after one game back. I think that would destroy his confidence. I can't see that happening. And like I say, the players are still rusty. We don't know what they're training like as well. We don't know what's happening, obviously, in the background. But I can't see there being many changes. But for me, Pogba has to be the big change. He has to come in, doesn't he, Meg?
He does, and I hope that he starts the way that the last game finished. I hope he just continues on that. Otherwise, as a fan, it's very easy to say, well, we got it wrong and we shouldn't have started him. He came on and he was so much better as a sub. So I hope that he brings what he brought to the last game, obviously just from the start this time.
Of course, I completely agree. And we saw flashes of the Bruno link-up. We saw flashes of the Bruno, Pogba and Martial link-up as well when he played that little disguise ball. I want to see more of that, which is what I'm saying. Don't drop Martial just yet. Give him some time in the team with the likes of Pogba and Bruno, because I think they'll get the best out of him. And if anyone's going to do that, surely them two players behind him are going to do it. And hopefully Rashford as well, because Rashford had a sloppy, quiet game. But in terms of the De Gea situation, obviously Henderson is not going to be starting for Sheffield, which is a massive boost for us because I think he has been phenomenal for them this season. And I think not having him in goal will unsettle them a little bit as well. Would you take Henderson back this summer, or do you think it's another season first before De Gea loses that top spot? It's a hard question, this one.
It's hard, isn't it? If I'm honest, I think we'll have De Gea for another year. I think Henderson will stay at Sheffield for one more season. He is very good, so it's very difficult. You want to get him at the right time. You want to get him at his peak. So I think we'll have De Gea for another season and Henderson will stay there. I also would keep De Gea in goal. I think he made a mistake, yes, but there's no need to go over the top with it. He's not that bad. And I think Ollie hasn't helped today by saying what he said. I don't think that helps the situation, because people have jumped on De Gea's back and criticised him. Ollie has come out to defend him, but I feel like what he's done is just put under the whole load of criticism and saying, actually, well, he's not the best, is he? Because of X, Y, Z. Ollie's comments today don't help, but I also don't feel like the criticism that De Gea had, I thought that was quite over the top in some points.
I think with De Gea, it's hard, isn't it? When you're a goalkeeper, which is why I'd never be a goalkeeper in a million years, but if you make a slight mistake, 9 times out of 10, it ends up in the back of your net. Whereas if you're a centre-half, for example, you've got the backup of a goalkeeper. If you lose the ball in midfield, you've got the centre-backs to back you up. As a goalkeeper, you are literally like last line, and if you make a mistake, we all know there's a lot more pressure on you as a goalkeeper. De Gea has been out for 3 months, just like the next person has been, and I think that to judge him on one game, yes, he made a mistake. He also made a great save afterwards as well, that people forget about. We know how many times De Gea has saved us. He's still one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Is he the best? You'd probably say he's not consistent enough to be the best at the moment, which is fair enough. But he is a top goalkeeper, and obviously Roy Keane was slating him the other day. I think he was harsh with what he was saying, but I kind of understood it as well. He has made far too many mistakes. Bless you, Meg. And I'm sure that De Gea would hold his hands up and he would be like, yeah, I haven't been good enough the last few months. But do you just rip him out a goal after one game back? or do you give him time? And I think that you need to give him a bit more time. He has not been good enough lately. But De Gea is the top keeper. He will know that. And I just think back him, like, it's a confidence thing as a goalkeeper as well, isn't it? Just like if there's got a striker not scoring goals, if a goalkeeper's conceding goals as well, it affects their mentality. It just massively does.
Definitely. When you, as a team as well, when you have like a losing streak, it's very easy to just tumble all into another loss and another loss. It's very hard to try and switch that up back to a win. So, I just feel like he's still not as bad as what people have made him out to be. He made a mistake. Move on. I'm afraid it's done.
At the end of the day, De Gea has built his own expectations, hasn't he? He's worked his way up to the top. That's why people think so highly of him. He's built that reputation himself, and I think when there's that much pressure on you, especially as a goalkeeper, like you are gonna be punished for making mistakes, and that's what's happened with De Gea. I'm just hoping that he can get through this. But like I say, there is a mentality thing there as well. If you're constantly being criticised and constantly obviously conceding goals, then it is going to affect you. Nicole says she's rooting for Dave to get a clean sheet tomorrow, needs the morale boost. A clean sheet would do wonders for De Gea, and hopefully tomorrow is the time that we will get that clean sheet. But Meg, who are your priority signings? 2 people have asked us this just. In the summer, what positions? I think a right wing has to be one, doesn't it? But what other position, if you were allowed to say 2 signings, what 2 positions would you go for?
Right wing, and I'd probably have to go with the left back. Because I feel like every other position we have very good options for, and I'm not saying that Shaw and Williams aren't very good options, but I feel like they're probably on the similar level. I feel like we could probably get somebody just slightly on the next level to them. So yeah, right wing, and I'd have Sancho.
Left back, so that's hard. Who in terms of left backs would you be looking at? I think it's a difficult one. When you're looking in world football, I mean, my dream left back signing right now, I'd say, would be Alphonso Davies. But obviously, that's not going to happen from Bayern Munich. Just signed a new deal. Out there, left backs worldwide, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chilwell's been linked with Chelsea, which I think
Yeah, I don't think we'll get Chilwell. I think this is where your scouts really come in, and hopefully they've been watching far and wide, whereas I haven't. So I have no idea, but hopefully someone on the next level.
Yeah, see, for me, I think I'll probably go right wing. I think we could do with another CDM, but McTominay could grow into being that player being there. I wouldn't want to hinder that as well. So I think that's a difficult one. It depends on the nature of the signing we could get for a CDM. But right wing Sancho, I completely agree. I've always said that I think we need an out-and-out goal scorer. Harry Kane, I think, would be superb for us, but obviously that's unlikely. But an out-and-out goal scorer, I think we need. I don't think Martial is consistent enough in front of goal. I don't think that Martial is the standard number 9 player. If you're thinking of typical number 9s, Martial, I don't think fits that. And then the other player, I think a centre-half would not be a bad shout. I think getting a consistent partner for Maguire rather than having to keep swapping. I just don't think Boyer will stay fit enough, unfortunately, for that period of time. I hope he can do, and that solves that problem. But I would be looking at another experienced centre-back to go alongside Maguire. I think that could make a big difference at the back. Left back for me wouldn't be a priority because I'm looking out there and I'm seeing a shortage. I don't think there's many world-class left-backs out there who are doable, who we can get. And I think it's a bit of an awkward position at the minute for most clubs. I think Chelsea are looking at Chilwell. Chilwell, is he massively better than Luke Shaw? I don't think he's majorly better than him, to be honest with you. Leicester fans would say he's inconsistent. I just don't think there's a lot of players out there. Rebuild says Martial is overrated beyond belief. Do you think he's overrated, Meg, or do you think he's misunderstood? What do you think about Martial?
I wouldn't say he's overrated. I just feel he has been slightly inconsistent. So when you see him and he's on form and he's playing well, like I said, you've seen him fly past defenders like they are nothing. He literally brushes players off and then can almost pass it into a goal. We've seen him do it on numerous occasions, but he hasn't perhaps been as consistent. But at the moment, on Manchester United are not consistent. We haven't been throughout the whole season, so it's very easy when the team's playing well for a striker to become consistent. Whereas when you're not being consistent as a team, I think you don't see the best in players as well. So not overrated, but inconsistent. I don't know how many times I just said that
word. I remember we were on the Football Terrace. Flawless is here as well. Flawless was on the same channel, and a few people were putting Martial into the world class category when we were grading United's squad. And I was saying, how can we put him in world class when he's so inconsistent? He might have world class capabilities every now and again. You see in flashes what he can do. For example, his goal against Watford, which I think was quality. But to be classed as a world class player, for me, you have to be consistent. And Martial lacks that. He isn't consistent. But I feel for him because the lack of service coming as well at United at the moment. We haven't been the best going forwards. We're still obviously in that transition phase. Pogba now he's coming back in, which we hope will boost that. I just feel that he hasn't had the best service as well. It's hard to judge. I think any striker would kind of struggle in that team at the moment with the way that it's been. And I'm just hoping that with the likes of Pogba and Bruno, that eventually we get the best out of Martial. And if you can't cut it with a midfield like that behind him, then you make your judgment, don't you? Then you say, yeah, he's not good enough, or yeah, he is lazy, as some people say, or he's just got that kind of a bit like Martial was his own style. A bit like Henry was, his own style. I'm not saying Martial is as good as Henry, but I'm just saying you can sometimes see him as being a bit arrogant or a bit stroppy or moody, but that's just the way that the guy is. I don't think he's necessarily in being lazy. I think that's just the way that he is. Do you agree with that, Meg?
Yeah, I think when you have got a positive play, you are as a team. Martial looks he, like I said, he brushes off players. He's like ice cold, isn't he? Like he just doesn't care. But I don't feel like he's overrated. That's all I'm gonna say. He's not overrated.
Yeah, I think we're still waiting for the best from him, and I'm hoping that we see that obviously now. But I think we're still waiting on the best from Martial, which is why I think if you send him to another team, he's the kind of player who's going to go leaps and bounds, he's going to progress, and you're going to massively regret it. And that's what I don't want to happen with Martial. And I feel like a lot of United fans are writing him off a bit too early, and I'm hoping he can prove them wrong. Digne from Everton, Mark said that Luca Digne for Everton is better than Luke Shaw. Do you think he would be a decent signing? Obviously, he's been skipper a few times for Everton as well. Played out in Spain. He played with Barcelona. He was at before Everton, I think he was. Do you think that he could be someone we could maybe look at pinching in the summer? Everton may need the funds, to be fair.
How do they want to know how old he is? And I'm not saying I'm not basing my whole judgment on how old he is, but I just think I'd like to get for Manchester United now, the team that we are building. I feel like we need to get a few players who are at their peak. So I don't know how old he is, but I'd like if he's at peak. Oh, 25. Someone just said. Then probably if he plays well. Is he world class? Is he one of those that's going to make a huge difference? So
I think you have to think is Brandon Williams or Brandon James, as you called him the other day, is he our long-term left back? Probably not, to be honest with you. So maybe we should look up. But if he is your long-term left back, if you're signing a big name to come in, that's going to hinder his progress. So I think it's really awkward for him for Ollie to be stepping on it. Depends how much faith he has in Brandon Williams, I'm guessing. But at this current moment in time, I would sooner see Williams start than Luke Shaw. I would rather that happen. But Luke Shaw obviously seems to be a favourite of Ollie's. Robert says that Martial is a bit like Berbatov. You can love him and hate him sometimes. He is a bit like that, a bit like Marmite, isn't he? Sometimes you watch him and you think, oh, he's just class. And other times it's so frustrating because he's not in the game enough. And I think that's what we're trying to say, that he needs to be more consistent. We need more from Martial every game. But at the same time, we've got to give him good service as well. And he can't feed off scraps. He's not that kind of player, is he? So I think it'd be interesting. But Digne is 27 in July. Is he a massive improvement on what we've got? I'm not too sure he is, to be honest with you. It's hard though, isn't it? Because Luke Shaw, we get so frustrated with him. We know the potential of Luke Shaw, but after his injury, unfortunately, it just doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem to be the same player. But Williams is a player that I really like the look of, and if he is our long-term fullback, I wouldn't like to sign a big name just to push him further back. Do you know what I mean? I want him to progress, and the more that Williams plays, the more he will progress, and that's what I'm hoping to happen. Arthur has just signed for Juventus, I believe, as well. I read that just before we went live from Barcelona. I think that's a good signing for Juventus, definitely. Obviously, a decent midfielder that's signed from Barcelona there. But I agree with Flawless. I think that he needs service. I agree with that. Zazie says, what's your story with Shaw? He's been improving. I think he was out of position a few times against Spurs, but obviously he recovered well and made a few last-ditch tackles. But the reason he had to make last-ditch tackles was because he was out of position. I think you have to acknowledge that. I think Brandon Williams is good competition for Luke Shaw, and I think when Williams was pushing him for that spot, we got the best out of Luke Shaw just before, obviously, lockdown happened. Luke Shaw, for me, I think he's a decent player. I don't agree with the stick he gets at times, but at the same time, he's nowhere near the player he was before his injury, and I think you have to be honest about that, don't you, Meg? He's nowhere near that player we signed before his injury happened.
Yeah, but I suppose as players get older, you know, he has had that injury. Do we think
horrible injury as well?
Yeah, I think it was against Spurs. Was it against Spurs? I can't remember now. I did see a clip of Luke Shaw playing a ball the other day, and someone said it's not talked about enough, and it was literally a defence splitting pass. It went straight through him. I don't think it was against Spurs. It might have been against Watford pre-lockdown. I don't know. I can't remember it now. But I was more focused on what Shaw was doing than who we were playing. But yeah, I'm not. He's not world class, is he? Luke Shaw is not world class. But then left back is very hard, I think, to be a world class player at left back. No, it's just one of those positions that's really everywhere seems to really struggle for it. I don't think there's an agenda against him at all. I think it's very fair to say that before lockdown, both Shaw and Williams were battling for that position, and they seemed it was another good headache to have because they were both playing really well. They bring something different. Yeah. Williams is very much more aggressive, I think. He seems to not have that fear, whereas I think sometimes Luke Shaw shows a bit of fear. Whereas Brandon Williams will just go head to head with you, literally.
I think that comes from his injury, though, doesn't it? Which is why you have a sympathy towards Luke Shaw. I mean, I know I do. Someone just said that I've got an agenda. I have not got an agenda for Luke Shaw. I hope that Luke Shaw excels and is England's #1 left back and quality for United long term. But I'm just saying that since his injury, I just don't think he's been the same player. He hasn't been. And that I think that element of fear that you mentioned, I think you can see that. I think psychologically that injury messed him up. I think he is a bit apprehensive sometimes. And I feel for him in that sense because it must be horrible as a player getting an injury the way that he did. He's done well to get back, obviously. And I do think people have got an agenda against Luke Shaw. I saw people tweeting pictures out saying he looked fat when he came back from lockdown, and I actually thought he looked like he'd lost weight. I thought he looked different, like in terms of I hardly recognised him. I thought he'd lost weight, but you still see the same old people saying, "Oh, he's fat," and that. I think Luke Shaw, he is stocky. He's just that body shape, a bit like Rooney was. I think he is just that body shape, but I think it's harsh to get on his back because you have an element of sympathy for the fact that he had that really bad injury, and I just don't think he's ever fully recovered in his mind more than anything. And that's why I think Brandon Williams playing because, like you said, that no fear element, it gives us so much more going forwards. He scored last time against Sheffield when we played a good goal as well, and I just think that he's the guy more long term that we should be turning to.
Yeah, I agree with you on it. I do think we'll see more of Brandon Williams, definitely.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I want to say a big shout out to Lisa Mandy. Lisa, a massive FIFA player. Still yet to see the potential though, Lisa, I'll be honest. I'm joking. Thank you for tuning in, I appreciate it. And Alex says Shaw is one of the fittest players in our squad. Very few beat him in the bleep test. I think Luke Shaw defensively is very good defensively, but going forwards, obviously we haven't seen that. Like you've mentioned, he looks apprehensive, he looks scared going forwards, and we want to see that side of his game a bit more, a bit like what we said about Wan-Bissaka really. But like I say, a lot of people go about that the wrong way by sending horrible messages towards Luke Shaw about his weight and stuff like that. For me, that is when it becomes an agenda where you're not talking about the football, you're talking about the way someone looks, and that's not on, is it? Shaw's positional play was poor, yeah, but he managed to recover by making last-ditch tackles, and that shows you that he's quicker than what he seems, Luke Shaw, isn't he? But, yeah, I think overall, if I had to choose, I would start Brandon Williams over him, but I do think for tomorrow's game, Luke Shaw will keep his place, and I think he will start. Meg, do you agree with that?
I think Shaw will see Shaw start, but I do think, like I said before, there will be a heavy rotation within these next few fixtures, so it's not unlikely that Shaw won't start in the future, even if he has been playing well. I just feel like so many games in such a short period of time, you need all your players on form. And I think given Brandon Williams time on the pitch as well is important. So, yeah, I just think Shaw will start, but I also think we will see Brandon Williams at some point soon.
Yeah, Robertson makes Shaw look bang average. Hate to say it, but it's true. Look, Robertson is one of the best left backs in the world right now. He's playing in obviously one of the best teams in the world right now as well. You have to bear that in mind.
Robertson makes everyone look bang average at the moment. The Premier League.
In terms of left backs, he's up there as one of the best in the world. And I said this ages ago when I saw Robertson at Hull. I thought he stood out, and I think he's a fantastic signing for Liverpool. Obviously, a major player for Scotland as well. He's just a quality player. But we're talking about Luke Shaw. I'm not bothered about comparing him. The only comparison I have is Luke Shaw before his injury and after his injury. And there's definitely a big difference there. I'm just hoping he can get back to the way that he was playing beforehand. But I do think psychologically that there is an issue there. But Meg, as always, absolute pleasure to have you on. Last thing I need to do is ask you what your score prediction is for tomorrow's game. It's a big game. I think it's going to be a tough one. How confident are you feeling?
I am still going quite confident. I'm still going with positivity, and I think we will win with a 2-0.
Go for a positive 2-0. Goal scorers, who are you thinking?
Rashford and Pogba. I can't remember who I said on Sunday now. I think it was Rashford and Pogba.
Yeah.
I'll take them again.
I'm going to go positive with a win. I'm hoping that we keep a clean sheet for De Gea's sake, to boost the morale, and obviously for the back four's sake as well. So I'm going to, you know what, I don't want to say the same, but I'm kind of feeling a 2-0 as well, to be fair. And I'm going to say Martial to score and Bruno to score, because he just seems to always score, whether it's a penalty or what. I think Bruno will bag again. I've probably been man of the match again. That seems to be a consistent thing since he signed for United as well, hasn't it? But guys in the chat, thank you so much. This is my first show since hitting 8K, I think, isn't it? So loving that. But thank you for your support as always. If you are new, please do hit that sub button as well. Me and Meg are buzzing for the game tomorrow. I hope you guys are as well. And we'll definitely keep interacting with you guys through social media, and obviously review the game on Sunday. But Meg, thank you for coming on. If you want to tell people where they can find you on social media.
You can. This is always confusing because it's back to front on the screen. But I am here on Twitter, and I am here on hairdryer treatment, and we'll be having more content come in. So you might find me flying solo on some occasions soon. But here, as I told you, this is all back to front. Here, it's so confusing. Here for Twitter.
Love that. And obviously my Twitter is there as well. Subscribe to Hairdryer Treatment. Put a comment on the video afterwards if you are watching this, obviously not live, and we will definitely respond there as well. Hit a like on the video. But most importantly, guys, stay healthy, stay positive, have a lovely evening, take care, and come on United.
Bye.